lovely melody.
Call of the Sea has captured my attention ever since I first saw the trailer just about a year ago. I love slow-paced adventure puzzles, although I find the usually given name of walking simulator to be a bit underwhelming. But despite its lackluster genre calling, this beautiful and otherworldly experience delivered on every front. Now be wary, I will be spoiling major plot points of the game from here on out, so if you haven't played it, give it a shot. The main protagonist of the story is Nora, an art teacher from Inglewood, California, who's been facing a mysterious illness all her life, one that makes itself known by weakening its host's health, as well as covering the body with various spots and ends with certain death. It's something known to her family, or at least to her mother, as we find out later in the game. Unable to settle for fate, her husband Harry, an archaeologist, sets out on an expedition aiming to find a cure. The game begins sometime after, when Nora had received an unmarked package from Tahiti, containing a blade, a photo of her husband, and a key on the back of it.
And my dear old pal. A brass key with the letters CW engraved on it, and some enigmatic instructions.
Unsure what to make of it, but growing desperate with the enduring silence, she decided to take the risk despite her health, chartering a whaling vessel from Australia in search of Harry, purely driven by her everlasting love. Increasingly frequent dreams of bizarre underwater worlds started to occur as she got closer and closer to her destination, until she eventually arrived. The island seemed to have a first positive effect on her, giving strength and adding a seemingly never-before experienced level of energy, which was also a nice excuse to introduce the running mechanics.
I dare say I might even walk a little faster than usual.
As she made her way through the island, she discovered the remains of Harry's expedition and quickly realized that it had gone terribly wrong.
The ship's hull was ripped open.
The group had suffered multiple casualties, from accidental deaths to less unpredictable reasons, and while reading through the notes left behind by the various members, an increasingly unsettling tension had made itself apparent between the individuals.
Heavens, he's losing his mind.
The cause of it? The so-called black ooze, another mysterious element of which the island seemed to have plenty of. At first there appeared to be more questions than answers, but instead of discouragement, her longing for Harry fueled an even greater drive as his fate continued to grow darker with every additional clue.
I wonder which Harry I'll find. How much would be left of the man I love? And how much of the man who has lost his sanity in this place?
In the end, she not only discovered that Harry was alive, but that he had left the island long ago. It was him who had sent the package. He had set up all the clues and along the way added misinformation, cryptic notes, for a single purpose: to lure Nora in, to keep her peeled on his footsteps until she arrived exactly where he wanted her to be.
No! Why did you do it? Oh my God, Harry!
Through her journey, Nora also discovered the remains and the retellings of an ancient civilization. I'm not sure whether or not I deciphered the murals or even found them all, but from what I can piece together, the native people or beings later on had lived a very segregated existence, with masters ruling and enslaving over the rest of the island.
We slaves, masters.
This must have started after what appears to be a meteor had hit the island, containing none other than the black ooze. One side saw this as an otherworldly gift given by the gods and to be worshipped, while the others didn't. After the masters drew victor, they henceforth used the ooze as a ritual to appraise the gods, in which the chosen slaves were bathed in it and then sacrificed. Unfortunately though, or fortunately for the latter, depending on your views, the ooze didn't always kill its host. For a select few it had the opposite effect: eternal life, but at a cost.
Some slaves die, some slaves have water.
Those who survived the transformation began calling themselves water animals. How does Nora play into this? Well, she or her family must have been descendants of the ones that had the ability to permanently change. Harry figured this out too, which is why he never tried to transform himself. It was a lie he set up to deceive her. But their true form was not the only thing that changed. Their universe expanded as well, literally. Being made aware of worlds beyond their previous knowledge, they realized the truth and began to oppose their suppressors until an inevitable war broke out.
They rebelled against their masters. The slaves seemed to worship two gods.
Which brings us back into the present time of the story. Piecing this together had a profound impact on Nora's perception of her existence, just like the natives had with theirs, one that ultimately led to her final choice. As told by the game through Nora's various remarks or notes, she was a very reserved person, one who due to her limited abilities never had the chance or even attempted to do more than just get by day, let alone go on adventures.
The amazing adventures of Nora Everhart, art teacher.
The thought had never occurred to her, just like the thought of rebellion had never occurred to the enslaved natives. The arrival on the island, or to be more precise, her homecoming, returned what was missing from her. Being away from where one belongs is painful. Nora suffered from it. Worst of all, before learning about it, she saw the illness as the source of her problem, not the result of one.
My bed. Another memory of my illness. How many times did I think I was going to die lying in this bed?
That might be the grander message of the game. Nora lived all her life by the unaware restrictions that her surroundings had given her. Questioning it never came to her mind, just like the natives of the island.
If you've lived all your life in a prison, how would you know that you are a prisoner?
But it wasn't all that bad. She seemed to live peacefully, maybe even happily. Having found her true love, she may have even deemed her journey to be concluded. But life never finishes. There is no end until there is death. Before that, the true call will echo in eternity until it is answered. And so she did. Through her journey, she continued to literally follow the footsteps of others, occasionally being pulled into an entirely different entity, freed and truer to herself than anything she had ever felt before, making her realize, questioning her entire existence, but she kept holding on to her mortal self, fearing that any control she had left would disappear if she would let go. Harry had realized this too, coming to terms that his journey or the result of it was much bigger than the love they had for each other. Or probably because he loved her so much, he wanted her to live even if it meant it was without him. Thus, creating the entire ruse to lure her in. But in so, he once again tried to make a decision for her.
Haha, Folgarfen. She is our daughter.
Not this time though. Nora had for the first time in her life fully opened her eyes, realizing who she really was, and because of that was able to make her first truly honest decision, one that would change everything, forever.
Either I embrace my fate and accept what I've always been, and leave you behind, or I reject it and return home with you to relish the time that my illness gives us. It's my decision to make.
Sometimes you're forced into a life without even knowing it. You're wandering through the desert believing it was a paradise. Getting to the point where one can make a decision like Nora is something many might never even achieve. Not because of a lack of trying, but because even knowing where to or what to listen for might be downright impossible. Not everyone has a Harry in their life or the luxury of going on a great adventure to find themselves. But we do have video games. We have books, movies, music, stories of old and young, and maybe one of those will churn on a siren that we might hear and follow.
Oh, how I miss you, dear old pal of mine.
Hey, thanks again for watching. I really hope you liked my views on Call of the Sea. And, let me know what you think. And, yeah. Anyway, until next time, stay safe and don't forget to listen for the call. Bye.